on this computer. All right, can everybody see my second screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me just double check one more thing. All right. So first up, I just want to see if anybody is looking for a job to fill Unreal Engine, or they want to get into working with Unreal Engine. I've been pinged by a couple of different outfits looking for people. Some of it has to do with the medical industry, whether it's a virtual reality presentation using Unreal Engine. So I'm just going to throw this out there. If you have a job that you're looking to fill, or if you want to get into it, I'll open the floor. Does anybody have something that they'd like to share about that? Nope. Okay. Well, I'm sure as the year goes on, there's going to be many more opportunities, especially with regards to doing upgrades from Unreal Engine 4 dot whatever onto Unreal Engine 5. And they do have some good guidance and some courses on that, but I'm sure that upgrading old projects to Unreal Engine 5, I think that's going to be a huge growth area for many existing studios who would require some help, especially with testing on a lot of those things, because that is the thing you want to be able to do is test, and test. The first thing I wanted to talk about this evening is Twinmotion. I did a demo on Twinmotion before COVID hit, and when we used to meet in person. And Twinmotion is it was originally designed for architecture, engineering, and construction. It is based on the Unreal 4 engine, so it does have a lot of the similar functionality to it, but it is really a user interface that has been extremely streamlined. And getting used to how it works does take a little bit of a learning curve. But there are free courses available. And if you've been using a lot of software for many years, you can probably, find your way through things. It's not that hard to use. One thing I do like about it is it does have an instant send a VR option, where if you're using a desktop PC and you want to say, okay, what does this now look like in VR? All you have to do is click a button and boom, what you've created, you can now see in a desktop virtual reality system. The thing that's awesome about it is that it has a lot of really great photorealistic capabilities with regards to lighting. It's easy enough to import assets into it and move things around. And recently, they also added the Quixel Megascans library interface into it. So anything in the Quixel Megascans library, you can now bring into Twinmotion. They've had the capability for a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit more about some neat, cool things happening with Megascans a little bit later. But I would like to show this 2-minute and 30-second video. And depending on what your sound level setting is, this might be a little loud or might not be loud enough, but on my system, it's fairly on a little bit above medium, but just heads up on the sound volume on this. But we'll watch this video and then we'll chat about it for just a little bit. So Twinmotion 22.1 just got released, and here is the release video. I love that ending. I mean, imagine that. And from outer space, you can see our building in the form of a logo. So that's pretty slick. So any questions or comments about Twinmotion? It is an interesting piece of software. Like I said, it is based on Unreal Engine, and you can download it from the Epic Games launcher. And it does follow the same end user license agreement that you can import Unreal Engine assets into it for use for Unreal Engine designs and creations. So it does follow the same licensing guidelines. It is a really cool tool, especially for people who just look at the Unreal Engine interface and be like, man, this is so overwhelming. And they want to be able to jump in and do something quick and be able to show results fast. This is a neat tool that allows people a lot of creativity and flexibility to be able to create something really quickly and turn it around and be able to have something that looks really good. So I really like Twinmotion. I haven't updated it in a little bit. I played with it middle of last year. I have not updated to what just got released. I just recently rebuilt my desktop rig. So I'm running Windows 10 on it, complete reinstall. And so I've been reinstalling all the software that I need to use. And I've really tried to keep it whittled down and clean. So I only have 4.27.2 installed, the Unreal Engine 5 early access, and then I'll get Twinmotion installed here next couple weeks and kick the tires on it.
Quick question, is Twinmotion total noob? I'm a software developer in Java, don't know anything about Unreal, other than it looks real, yet it's real time. Is Twinmotion, if it is its main purpose for like a noob like me to kind of be able to sort of do something?
Yes, you can. Like I said, the interface is pretty easy to use and to navigate and get around. It is very visual in nature. You can add sounds and you can import sounds and things like that, but it's mainly a visual tool that allows creation of things in a fairly uncomplicated manner. Now, if you need additional functionality, you can always use Unreal Engine 4 itself. There is an architectural template that gives you a lot of the very similar functionality on it, but it does, Unreal Engine is a little bit more, it's a lot more complex when compared to Twinmotion, but don't think that any of the skills that you learn in Twinmotion won't transfer. They will transfer, and there's a lot of exact parallels to that. Twinmotion just hides a lot of the complexity behind the scenes and keeps their UI, their user interface, very simple and streamlined.
So the project, if I started in Twinmotion, will I be able to import it to Unreal once I'm feeling?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
You bet. Okay, and it looks like we have Mike joining. So welcome, Mike. Some of you may or may not be aware, but excuse me, the Consumer Electronics Show wrapped up last week. It was in person, although you can imagine attendance was way down because of the different variants of COVID. And since then, I've heard some other conferences have decided that in the spring they were planning to be in person, but they decided to we're just going to go back to virtual, which is unfortunate. But I do understand that people don't want to get the virus, and I'm completely sympathetic to that. In fact, my boss's family today just announced that they think they've been infected, and so they're trying to scramble around and get tests because they do. Some of her kids, their school does require contact tracing notification if any family member has COVID and all that good fun jazz. But anyway, Consumer Electronics Show wrapped up. There were a lot of really neat, cool things that got covered. I won't have time to get into a lot of those, but I did want to highlight at least one, well, two, that really jumped out at me that I think is fantastic. So the first one is going to be hardware, and then I'm going to show a real quick software demo of something that NVIDIA announced at CES. So the first thing I want to show is if you are in the market for a video graphics card, it's been really hard. The crypto miners have really made it difficult to buy things, whether it is online or in person. I'm a huge fan of Micro Center here in the Tech Center off of 225 and 25. They get a lot of my money. I can't imagine how that's ever going to stop, but they get a lot of my money. And they've instituted a graphics policy where you can only buy one card per family per month. And that has definitely slowed down crypto miners just coming in, buying every card they can grab their hands on, especially the RTX variety, and not having other people, just Joe Blow consumer, being able to buy one, which is highly unfortunate. That policy has slowed it down. Where
Does this normally happen, or?
Honestly, that is the first time that has ever happened.
Okay.
I'm so sorry, and I apologize, everyone.
Gotta find a way to delete those ones.
Well, and I tried using the mute control and kick control, and for whatever reason, he was able to continue to come back on. Yeah, that's too bad. I'm sorry about that, everyone. So if that happens again, all I'm going to do is just click on the image and just boot them forever and not give them a second chance. So yeah, I have low level of tolerance for interruptions like that. Okay.
Sorry, Todd, just to apologize for earlier. I had technical difficulties, so just saying hi. I literally walked away from the camera for like 2 minutes, came back, and I was like, wait, what the heck is happening? So I thought it was me.
Yeah, I wasn't playing some video or letting somebody share my screen. It's just a rather unruly individual.
Okay.
All right. Well, back to our originally scheduled programming. What I was saying was that Micro Center's policy of one card per person per family has slowed down a lot of crypto miners buying cards. And I have seen several RTX cards still on the shelves weekend after weekend. So that's good news. At the Consumer Electronics Show, NVIDIA did announce a brand new card called the RTX 3050. Now it is an RTX class level card in the 3000 series. So this isn't some slouch card, but the price is just jaw-dropping amazing. Starting at $250. So unsure what the retail price is going to be. It's probably going to be a little bit higher than that. I'm guessing like maybe $275, $300. I'm sure it'll be probably a little bit higher on Amazon and eBay and things like that. Whether it'll be able to do ray tracing and virtual reality remains to be seen, but it is an RTX class card, and it is going to allow RTX level capabilities. And so I am excited about that. I myself have a high-end RTX card, so I'm not in the market right now, but I do know that there are a lot of people who do want to upgrade their systems, and this would be a card to seriously consider adding to your desktop PC. They also announced other RTX new laptops coming out. So if you're in the market for a new laptop and you haven't bought one, I would say just try to wait a little bit longer. Within the next 6 months, you'll probably be able to buy a really decent laptop that's got fantastic graphics capabilities for the money, depending whether you want something that's thin and light, or if you don't mind, hauling around, a large system. So depending on what your budget and your needs are, if you can wait, all I can say is just try to wait a little bit longer and then buy what you need, and don't have buyer's remorse about it. So.
Generally speaking, how much are the highest end cards to purchase? I thought it would have like an extra zero before the dot.
Well, some of them do. I use a high-end graphics card, not just for Unreal Engine and virtual reality, but I'm also in the midst of authoring a book called Beginning NVIDIA Rapids, which is about using a graphics card to do open source data science. So all the heavy number crunching to do mathematical analysis, machine learning algorithms, stuff like that. So for me, I needed something that had a lot of gigabytes of RAM on the card itself. So I needed to buy a card that has as much RAM as my budget and finances would allow. So right now, I'm running an RTX 3090. It's a monster graphics card that requires 3 power connectors, if you can believe that. And I bought it for just over $2,000 at Micro Center. If you're into high-end graphics processing, they have cards that are even way more expensive than that. I know a gentleman who does a lot of data science stuff. I follow him on YouTube on his subscription on his channel. He has an A6000, and the 6000 on the card number, that is the price of the card. It's a $6,000 card. So if you can imagine that. So it really depends on what your graphics needs are for things. But any of the modest level cards, the 3060, 3070, 3080, those are great for most graphics capabilities. I just had to I needed to get the biggest one because I needed the most amount of memory. So does that answer your question?
Completely. Thank you so much. Just trying to get a lay of the land. Thanks.
You bet. And it looks like Josh has joined, and Marzia, is that how you pronounce your name? Well, welcome. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to show is that, and this is just this will be a real short demo after I show this link. Again, at CES, NVIDIA has announced that Omniverse is now out of beta and it is ready for production. The caveat is that you must have an RTX card in order to run this. The NVIDIA Omniverse is available for download. It consists of an umbrella set of different pieces of software that allows for different levels of capability. So it's not just one piece of software, but it's more of a suite of software. One of the neat cool things that I've seen people doing is that they can take a WAV file, a .wav file, which is an audio file. You can bring that into the piece of software called audio to face, and that's all one word, audio and then the number 2 to face. And I'll show that in a second. You can bring in this audio file and then you can just push play and it will show a likeness of a model based on a human face, and it will move the mouth and you'll see the cheeks and a little bit of the eyes moving a little bit. And what's cool about that is that they've worked with Unreal Engine to export the .usd file, which is a universal descriptor, universal scene descriptor file format that Unreal supports. People have been able to take that and incorporate it with the Unreal MetaHumans, and they have been able to provide movement of mouth on some of these MetaHuman rigs. Some of the stuff I've seen has been just incredible. It's like, is that digital puppeteering? It's like, no, they're just letting the software do the magic, and then they just rigged up different parts of the MetaHuman, whether it's their eyes or eyebrows, changing hair colors, making their face skinnier, a little bit wider, changing some of their clothes and some other aspects with regards to MetaHumans. So I'll show this demo just real quick what this looks like. So when you download the software, and you must have an RTX card in order for this to for the software to work. So this is very similar to the Epic Games launcher. You come here and then you can go, they show news and other things. So they have this thing called Exchange, and Exchange is the main stopping part of hang on a second, I'm just looking at something. Wow, there's a rather nasty message in chat that did not come from me. So this must have been some kind of Zoom hack, which is odd because I updated my Zoom on the most latest of software. So I don't know if I can get rid of that or anyway, there's a comment in there in the chat that did not come from me, and I apologize for that message. I don't know how that got in there. Man, what a night. Okay, so Omniverse Exchange, this is your launcher, as it were, that has all the different pieces of software that you can install and that you can explore and play with. And I've already installed Omniverse Audio to Face, and I'll launch this. The way the software works is you point it to a working directory, and then the software will figure out what files are available within that working directory that it can then import into Audio to Face. One thing I did notice is that when I rebuilt my system, I thought I was on the latest NVIDIA drivers. I was on 470 something, and I thought that was the latest when I did this about a month and a half ago. But 490 is available, and I updated that today. So the software does require not only an RTX card, but it also requires being able to have the latest, so it will detect if you have an older driver, and you'll have to upgrade it before the software will work properly. So I'm going to set my audio source directory to be my desktop. So I'm selecting my directory. It's detected that I have a WAV file, and I have a digital audio recorder from Tascam. I bought this at Guitar World or Guitar Center for, I think, $50. So it's just a digital audio recorder that outputs a WAV file, and then I just plug it into my PC, and I'm able to do things. Okay, so you've seen that it's detected it, and I'm just going to. So we're just let me make this scene a little bit bigger. So I've got a friend of mine who is interested in some of these technologies. So I just put together something super quick and dirty, just saying hi to my friend Steve, hi to my friend Jen, and then I'd say a phrase. Good afternoon, Steve. Good afternoon, Jen. This is a test of the audio to face technology provided by NVIDIA Omniverse. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. Thank you very much.
Gotta say, Todd, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and all I did, it's just a WAV file, and then the software takes care of everything else. And you can, there's all kinds of things you can do here, but the main thing that I wanted to point out is that you can take this and integrate it with the Unreal MetaHumans, and it took no time to rig up a face that has a human voice and does stuff. All right. So closing that, bring this back up. Okay, so this next video is by someone at NVIDIA. So let me get past these ads here.
You might have seen videos like this before, but here's the big secret. Anyone can make one of these videos in.
So this video runs 10 minutes, but I just want to show, I'm just going to advance the video a little bit just to show some of the things some of what I just covered, but then some other things. So he talks about how to rig up a face, how to use the, this is one of the default MetaHuman characters within Unreal Engine. And he's able to rig up this particular animation and
Hey, Todd, I think you can just kick Henry James from the group. He's not even on the attendance list.
yeah, I just kicked him out, and then I'm gonna report on Zoom here.
That was a new one.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that because of a new version of it, maybe there's a hack going around.
Yeah, and even Zoom said, hey, by the way, update to the latest version because we've got some security pushes. And then it's like, man, I wonder about your testing on the security pushes. Stuff ought to be locked down. I've never had these problems this evening, everyone. So again, I apologize for these interruptions. All right. So this NVIDIA video, and again, all these links are going to be in the post meeting notes. So don't worry about trying to copy titles or URLs. All of this stuff will be provided. Then he goes into how to import additional information out of Omniverse into Unreal Engine, and then goes into
control views and go out.
And this map shows all of the different points that allow muscle movement, so you can expand and contract. Obviously, a lot of things around the mouth for lip synchronization, but also everything around eyes and foreheads, even movement of the ears as someone is speaking. So using the Unreal Engine 4 connector into Omniverse allows integration with audio to face. Okay.
You may answer questions a little bit later.
Bet you Nina would come out.
Would you say, Mike?
I don't know what your normal protocol is. Is this my first meeting? Do you normally like answer questions after each session or at the end of the meeting, or?
Yeah, after each thing that I show, if you have any questions or comments, by all means,
Okay.
chime in, please.
Go for it.
So, all right, so the next thing I wanted to discuss is Blender 3.0. Blender 3.0 was released either at the end of November or at the beginning of December. Yeah, 3rd of December. So Blender is a free open source program that allows for the digital content creation. So when somebody wants to create a three-dimensional asset completely from scratch, this is a program that allows for that. I've been using Blender for a while. I'm by no means a Blender expert by any stretch of the imagination. I do follow a gentleman by the name of Andrew Price, and I'll show his playlist here in a moment. And again, these links will be provided after the meeting. But this one video is about 40 minutes in length. I'm not going to show anything of it, but it does cover many different people from many different industries, showing just how many different ways people are using Blender, not just in various industries, but what are they using it for? Like if any of you are into 3D printing, you can use Blender for 3D printing. I know when during the start of the pandemic, when everything was completely locked down, I was able to download some models from Thingiverse, and they're just .stl files. I was able to bring them into Blender. I could play with them, resize them, reverse engineer them, things like that. And then I could export that. And the Arapahoe Library District offers, I think it was like once a week or once a month, you could upload a .stl file and they would 3D print it for you. And then you could drive up and then somebody would bring out the 3D printed model to you. And so I'm into NVIDIA Jetson, which is a $100 board that allows you to do all kinds of neat, cool things with it. And so I 3D printed a case for that board and I didn't have to pay anything for it. Blender is free and the service from the Arapahoe Library District was free. And so I thought that was pretty cool to be able to do something like that. All right. Any questions or comments on Blender?
I have a question or a comment.
Sure.
So Blender is like 3D assets, but the first thing that you showed, the Twinmotion, that was more architectural, like the difference between Blender and Twinmotion would be one's more things and the other one's more atmosphere or buildings, or what would you say?
So think of Twinmotion like a game engine. You import everything into a game engine, and then you could move things around inside of a game engine. Blender allows you to create things that go into a game engine. So Blender by itself is just a content creation tool.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. This next set of videos is something I'm going through. So I've been following Andrew Price for a while. He has an incredible following. I mean, over 2 million subscribers to his YouTube subscription channel alone. What I would like to point out is this link here, that he has this famous demo that he does and shows people how to use Blender completely from scratch. If you've never used Blender, he tells you how to download it, how to install it. And then he goes through the creation of an example that he calls a donut. And the donut that you create looks really, really good when you look at the final result. And he does it in incremental tutorials and steps. So this is something I'm going through right now as his 3.0 beginner tutorial. The interface has changed a little bit from previous versions. It's much cleaner. It's a little bit more intuitive. And this series of 17 videos goes through how to, start Blender completely from scratch, not knowing anything about it. And he walks you through a lot of things to be able to create this donut. And it's several hours to go through all of it, but he's done this tutorial many times. I think he said like over the last 10 years. So the gentleman knows what he's talking about. And I really like his teaching style. And he's really quite knowledgeable in Blender. I think he's been using it for over 17 years, if I remember right. So any questions on Blender and Blender tutorials? Okay. I do follow, he does have a newsletter, and I do follow him both on Twitter, and I subscribe to his newsletter. And one of the neat things that he mentions is this thing called ML deform. It stands for machine learning deformation. And what this is this allows you to use machine learning algorithms to analyze a cloth material, much like your elbow, like on your sleeve. Usually when you bend things in a digital content creation package, you get these really strange wrinkles, or where your skin is supposed to compress on its own. But it looks more like a tube that's getting bent instead of an arm being bent. And what this tool allows you to do, and they're working on getting it to work for Blender, is it allows for very smooth, very natural looking bends in different things, whether this is a character animation, part of their arm, part of their leg, part of their torso, part of their neck, or however somebody might have something, or it could be a physical device or a piece of machinery that when you bend it, it needs to follow the properties of physics and make it so that it makes it look much more realistic. And so they're using machine learning algorithms on 3D assets to make them more realistic looking. So since this is something that uses data science, this is of interest to me, of, okay, using data science to make 3D assets look better. Okay, that sounds pretty cool. So if I have a chance to play with this, I will, but I just wanted to point that out. So any questions on ML deform?
Does machine learning play a significant role in the space of 3D assets or animation, the topics that you normally talk about?
Sometimes they do. It depends on the thing that I'm trying to understand myself so that I can explain it to other folks, in addition to being able to, okay, this is a neat, cool thing, but how does it apply to me? So what? And does it make any sense? And how does it apply to Unreal Engine? Does it make things easier? And if it does make it easier, what is the level of complexity to understand the tool in order to apply it?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You bet. All right, switching gears now to the launcher. This is the Epic Games launcher. If you've never installed anything Unreal Engine related, the first thing it's going to do is you'll have to create a login. You'll have to agree to the EULA end user license agreement, and then you'll download the launcher. And from the launcher, this is where you download all of the other things related to Unreal Engine. You'll notice at the top that for me, it's defaulting to UE4 on things where you have news. You go to their YouTube channel, you can go to their Answer Hub forums, online forums, and they also have different roadmaps and other forums. Some of these you have to have a license in order to get into it, like a paid license. Most of their forums are open to anyone to look at things. Just real quick, going across the top of the launcher. On the Learn tab, Unreal Online Learning shows all of the free courses, and we'll talk about the courses here in a moment. And this is also where they highlight different things, different aspects of their engine, different feature examples. And we'll look at some of these scenes. You'll see this again in a moment when we talk more about the free Epic content. The marketplace, this is where you can go to download all of the for purchase assets and where all of the free assets live. And right now, if you look at the free for the month, these are assets that Epic has financially compensated developers so they can showcase their assets for free to the whole world, in fact. So right now, these assets, all 5 of these, you can see that it's showing owned. So I've already checked them out and I've paid $0 for all of these things. They do have other permanently free collection. These are different studios have created assets that they just want to give away for free to help get name recognition. But some of these assets are really good. Some of them are, kind of okay. And then you also have the Epic Games content, and these are all of the assets that Epic Game has released for free, only to be used in Unreal Engine 4 licensed games and products and derivatives of that. Library, this has all of the engine versions. You can see I've cleaned things up. I don't have a lot of projects right now. I've got everything backed up onto another system. You can see my vault is quite vast. I've been extremely diligent about downloading all of the free assets available every single month for the last, I think, 2.5 years. I have more free assets than I've had time to actually go look at and create a project and download and play with. Some of these are blueprints, some of these are 3D materials, some of these are 3D assets, some of these are sounds, some of these are animations, some of these are inventory systems. It's just all over the place what a lot of these assets are, but I have more assets than I know what to do with. And sometime I'd like to host a game jam where we can go download and play with a lot of these things and see if we can actually create something for fun during a weekend or something like that.
Hey, Todd, I have a question about the vault.
Sure.
Are they downloaded to your hard drive, or do they stay in the cloud or on the Unreal side until you use it?
Two things. One is everything that you want to download is tied to your Epic Games login account. And once you download it, it belongs to you for free to do in anything you want to do, commercial or otherwise, as long as it's Unreal Engine licensed thing that you're trying to do. Second is you can change the vault location. Like here on the settings, you'll see my vault location is currently my C drive, but I can browse to a different drive and I can have the vault location live there. So when you download something from the marketplace, it will cache it in the vault, your vault location on your hard drive, and there you have it. And next time you create a project, it'll pull it from your local storage vault instead of having to re-download it every single time. So it does take time to download it once, but once it's on your hard drive, anything you create with that, it's going to go much faster. Now, if your vault location dies, if your hard drive dies, or your computer dies, you don't have to worry about anything. As long as you still have your Epic Games login, you can recreate anything that you've downloaded into your marketplace. Does that make sense?
So that's a yes, it does always reside on your local drive then, is that correct?
Yes.
So all those things you've downloaded, they're all on your hard drive, is that correct?
They're all within my profile, but it is only when I create a project. See how it says, create project?
Add project, yeah.
Then if I don't already have it downloaded, it will then download it for me and then add it to my project.
So it's in the
Okay.
cloud until you pull it down. It's in both places if you want it to be.
So that, yeah, okay, so that's what's going on, all right. Because, yeah, you'd be taking up a massive amount of space on your hard drive with
Oh,
your
yeah.
vault there.
Yeah,
But it's only the ones that you're using and are added to a project or created a project from that are on your local drive.
yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and one of the demos for Unreal Engine 5, the Echo demo, which is a character in the Valley of the Ancients, that had to been the absolute largest download I've ever done in my life. It was a 100 gigabyte download. I didn't stutter, 100 gigabyte. That took forever to download. But it is an awesome demo, and if you ever have time to go look at it and you have space to download it, it's jaw-droppingly gorgeous. I can't believe just how vast that map is. The map is kilometers in size. Can you really have a kilometer-size map in Unreal? Yeah, you really can. And it's done with photorealistic Megascan assets as well. So yeah, huge download. Then again, moving here at the top, I have not installed Twinmotion 2022.1, but it is available for download. And then same thing with Unreal Engine 5. You can download it. You just have to agree to, you can't use it in production just yet and all this other stuff. But it's available to play with right now. And like I said, right now I'm only using 427.2 for any new projects now moving forward. I've converted some older projects and I haven't had any problems with them. But at the same time, every engine does take up a lot of space on your hard drive. And so if you want to keep something lean and mean, only install what you need and uninstall what you don't need. Does that make sense?
Yes, because I had to do that many times.
Yeah, I started using Unreal Engine, I hate to say this, probably over 10 years ago, and I'm still not an expert by any means. I know enough to be dangerous, but yes, I've downloaded and uninstalled many versions over the years. I've never had a problem with any of the conversions, but most of the stuff that I build is fairly small by gaming standards. I don't have like a 50 gigabyte game or anything like that. Yeah, so always upgrade a copy of something when you upgrade, and then test, and test. And never change a game engine midstream in the middle of a project. That's always like a huge caveat. It's like, okay, whatever you started with, that's what we're going with. But yeah, you generally don't want to change versions in the middle of a project. All right, let's see here. I don't have the link copied just yet. I will add it to the meeting notes after the meeting is over. But I would definitely ask everyone to go look at the end of the year or the year in review, or sit down with Amanda and Tim Sweeney CEO and founder of Epic Games and Unreal, where they talk about a lot of things that they've done so far, all of the excitement around Unreal Engine 5 when it gets released to production this year. I've heard different potential timeframes. It was originally said it was going to be sometime in the fall. It could be in the summer. It could be in the spring. Whenever it's released, it gets released. But one thing that they did do that didn't get a whole lot of press, but it is significant when you think about it, is I don't know how many of you play Fortnite or you've heard of Fortnite. Fortnite is one of the world's largest multiplayer games that is built using Unreal Engine. It has, I think, over 200 million players worldwide. It's always running 24/7, 365. The fantastic news about that is that they have moved Fortnite completely over to Unreal Engine 5. So imagine that. Talk about the world's largest beta testing platform for a video game that people can do to test the new Unreal Engine 5 and its capabilities. Now, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of bugs and things that they're scrambling to work on as it happens. But if you can just imagine if Fortnite has been successfully ported over to Unreal Engine 5 and it's working great, and some things are working much better and the visual fidelity is just that much better, imagine what that means for the rest of us when we start doing things Unreal Engine 5 in a production capacity. So yeah, fantastic news on that front. Any questions or comments on anything we've covered so far on that? Okay. Moving on to Proxy Geometry Merge. I follow a couple different people on Twitter, game devs mainly focused on Unreal Engine. One of these gentlemen's names is Alex Colomb. And what I wanted to point out here on this tweet, and then I'll show a link on the Unreal Engine documentation. And it might be hard to read on screen, but I'll go ahead and I'll just read it. Is that on this particular static mesh, he has 51 material slots. So lots of different materials all over this particular static mesh. The number of triangles is 188,000. The number of vertices is 128,000. If this was an asset in a mobile game, that's a lot of triangles and polygons to calculate. What he's showing is that you have this merge actor capability. And when he selects all of that individual pieces and parts, and he goes to the proxy actor merge, the number of triangles has been reduced from 188,000 to 1,693, number of vertices down to 1,766. So that is a huge optimization in terms of rendering on the number of polygons on it. And it didn't look like it really reduced the visual fidelity that much. I mean, you can kind of see some little minor things, but it's really not that bad. I mean, I would rather take the decreased polygon count and have a higher performant visualization than to have to fiddle with reducing the number of counts in your digital content creation program and then re-import and fiddle with all of that. So this piece of magic comes on 4.27. The documentation goes through several steps on how you can recreate something for yourself. And it's just as simple as selecting static meshes in your scene and going to merge actors. And you go through the steps and you can select as many static meshes as you want to create a single mesh. This example is merging all of these static meshes together as a single mesh. You can fiddle with some of these settings and it will not change any of the original static meshes. It will create a new single static mesh, and then it'll also create all of the your texture maps from that. And then you have an end result and similar massive decrease in triangle count and vertices. So this is an optimization you do in Unreal before you play your game. So reducing polygon counts is huge for a performance optimization. Any questions or comments on that?
So a tool like this literally didn't exist until this recent version of Unreal.
In the past, you could merge actors, but it wouldn't go through this performance optimization.
And no like third parties have written small applications to do optimizations like this.
You can do optimizations outside of Unreal, like in Blender. You can do smoothing, and you can do some optimizations that will recalculate the polygons, and it will merge them into fewer polygons. And you can do that within a digital content creation tool like Blender, Maya, 3ds Max, or within a CAD program. But then you'd have to re-import back into Unreal. What this tool allows you to do is you can still use the original, or you can grab a bunch of static meshes and create a new static mesh with everything merged into it and have that optimization kick in.
Very cool. Thank you.
You bet. Anything else?
So this is separate from like having multiple levels of design or multiple levels of detail, right? This is like a single LOD optimization that happens one time.
It is my understanding that it is a one-time optimization. You can always set up automatic LOD, that means level of detail. For those of you who may or may not know what level of detail means, is that when you are up close to an object, you want to see maximum level of detail. But when that object is 50 feet away, you don't need to have microscopic level of detail. And what that does is you don't need to see, this beautiful, gorgeous, multi-thousand polygon object at a distance. You can decrease the number of polygons that are getting rendered on the screen by controlling the level of detail. And you can have multiple levels of detail. LOD 0 usually means the thing right up in your face, and you can go LOD 1, 2, 3. You can have as many as you like. And there's also an automatic LOD tool that will guesstimate for you based on the size of the object. Is this a small object, a large object, and things like that. I have not played with this tool myself since 426, I think. But I would like to go through this documentation and see if I can reproduce these exact same results with static meshes of my own. In addition, in Unreal Engine 5, with the new nanite technology, nanite is a technology that allows for a consistent level of polygons being rendered to screen. If you have ever heard them brag about, you can have billions of polygons on the screen, and most people would be like, what do you mean billions of polygons? That's crazy talk. You can't do that. And yes, you can. And it's a really neat technology, but in order to enable that in Unreal Engine 5, all you're doing is right-clicking on a static mesh and you're checking a box for nanite, and then it will take care of the rest. You don't have to fiddle with any complicated settings or redo anything. You're just grabbing what you need and running through a very simple process. And boom, you've got instant optimization. So a long answer to a short question. Did that answer your question, Trevor?
Yeah. I think so.
Great. Another individual that I follow on Twitter, and he's been mainly in the filmmaking space, and he's created his own tool to help with the use of film cameras, digital film cameras in on sets and creating different scenes. His name is Matt Workman, and lately he's been fiddling with a lot of motion caption gear. Mocap suit is a literally a suit type of suit that you wear that has sensors all over it. It detects the physical positions of your body, and then you can translate that information to a character, and then you can rig these different characters. Matt is also at the forefront of creating MetaHumans and being able to do things with MetaHumans. And in fact, he's even created a persona and given a MetaHuman its own channel on YouTube called Citizen Meta 1, believe it or not. So I am going to show this. So pretty crazy that you're able to put on a motion capture suit and rig it directly into an animation like that. Normally, in order to create an animation completely from scratch, you're looking at several weeks of work for an individual, or at least, a week or, or so for a group of people to be able to rig something up like that, as realistic looking as that is. What's nice about being able to don a mocap suit is that it can record your motions exactly as you recorded them. There's very little things you have to do in post to capture the physical motions on that. But again, and I'll provide the link on this in addition to some of his other videos. But yeah, Citizen Meta 1, it's a really cool channel. You'll see a lot of things, and he goes into technical details on what type of hardware he uses, the kind of software he uses, the steps he goes through to create things. So imagine if you have the space to have green screens all around you. That's essentially what his studio looks like. He's got all the equipment on one side, then he's got a complete wall, ceiling to ground level blue screen on the walls in his studio that he's able to create these things. Hard to believe how far one person can push a piece of technology. So any questions or comments on that? All right, so the last thing I wanted to show with regards to technical aspects, then we'll cover on a couple other fun things, is this thing called ArchViz character pawn. So creating, normally when you want to create an architectural, is that the wrong? Oh, you know what? I copied the wrong one. Okay, well, I will find the right link in the show notes. That'll be updated. What I was going to say is that the first person template is something that I use within Unreal Engine, and it allows to create what's known as a character pawn, and the pawn automatically has movement with regards to moving your head with the mouse, moving your body with your WASD keys on your keyboard. The thing with architectural visualization is you don't like to see people bobbing their head as they're moving like a real person. You want to have really smooth motion as you're going through a visualization. So the ArchViz character pawn is something that came up in the Unreal Engine tips and tricks live stream. And it's a 6-minute video, and it goes into detail on how to change some parameters to get it to make it look far more professional using that first person template, again, with an eye towards architectural visualization. All right. Epic Online Services. If you're into developing games, this is something Epic is offering for free, even to Unity developers, Unity games, other game engines. And Epic Online Services allow many games-oriented things, whether it's tracking logins, being able to provide in-game purchases and upgrades, leaderboards, inventory tracking to an extent, multi-user game systems and networking. This goes into more details on how to use some of these interfaces. And they have an entire Epic Online Services Getting Started series I've only scratched the surface on this. Some of it, I don't use on a day-to-day basis, but I can see that if somebody wanted to build a multiplayer game, you would want to definitely take advantage of the entire infrastructure that Epic has created. Epic Online Services came out of creating Fortnite. So again, they're in software development. If you've ever heard the expression eating your own dog food, they're definitely, using their own tools themselves before they release them to the general public to let other people play with it and take advantage of using it. I've not seen any cost on this yet. I have no idea how they're going to be leveraging the cost of developing this system. I don't know how long it'll be free, but right now it's free as far as all of the things that I've been able to read and see about. So if this interests you, they are continuing to provide more tutorials and understanding of the application interface, the APIs, to use these things into your own games and experiences. So any questions on EOS?
Something quick, maybe not related directly. How does Epic Games make money from their Unreal Engine product? Is there a subscription fee?
No, it's not like Unity where you have to buy something or pay for a license up front. I think Unity charges like $1,500 for a professional license, or at least that's what it used to be last time I looked at it, and that's been quite some time. So they have two different paths for the licensing, and you'll see this when you first create a login with them, and you can always contact them and ask them. You tell them what you're trying to do, and they can tell you which license applies to you. One is a license that is designed for games that you only have like one copy of, and you want it to sell it to many, many people. In that case, they have a royalty program where up to the first $1 million, up to, again, $1 million in sales, you don't pay them anything. But after the first $1 million, they want 5% of your revenues based on using their engine. The other licensing is for creators who create custom things. Myself, I create art galleries using digital photographs and to something that can be rendered on a Oculus Quest 2. So it's a virtual reality art gallery. Since each one of those art galleries is custom, I don't have to pay a licensing fee because it's not something designed for many people. It is designed for a specific person. It's 100% custom. All of the stuff with architecture, engineering, construction firms that I've talked to and people who use Unreal Engine in their day-to-day lives, they've said they've never had to pay anything to Epic Games for any of the licensing related to that, because each piece of work that they do is custom in nature. So it's a very generous royalty schedule as far as the developer is concerned. Me personally, if I made $1 million and I didn't have to pay anybody anything, that's great. If I make $1 million, $1,001, and somebody says, "Hey, Todd, we need 5%. Here, take 5%." So I think it's very generous on Epic's licensing terms. It used to be a lot less than that. It used to be like the first $250,000, and then they went up to $1 million. So if I'm making $1 million in revenue and I have to pay someone 5%, I think that's a good problem to have.
And what do you mean by your gallery is only for one person? You want many people coming to visit?
It's mainly designed to be a personalized experience where I can take someone's photographs and I can build something for them, or it's something for a loved one. So it's not designed to be a multi-person experience. It's more like just a person walking around their own gallery.
I see. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. So any other questions on licensing I might be able to answer? I'm not a lawyer, but I can tell you what I know.
So basically, if you have like a server with users, like these multiplayer games, that's when you fall into this up to $1 million issue, right?
Right. If you're not asking anybody for money and it's just free and it's just a demo, you can have as many users as you want on the system. It's only when you start asking people for money that Epic starts, wanting to know, how many people are you looking at? And it's really not based on the number of people. It's really based on revenues.
Right. Thank you.
Mhm.
So if I had a gallery and a lot of people visited, it's still that free side of the licensing?
Yeah,
Because
if you're not, and I mean, unless you've made up to $1 million, you can have as many people as you want looking at something.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, that's a good observation, Josh, and chat, that the Paragon assets are really high quality assets. I've used them for a lot of different experiences and demos. It is amazing that they've given away that Epic has given away so much free content that was designed for other purposes, but they didn't want that investment to go to waste. I think they said they spent like $17 million building all the Paragon assets, and then they just released them for free, and they're available in the marketplace. And I'll mention a little bit more about the Epic's content related to online learning here in a moment.
Yeah, it was pretty cool that they did that.
Yeah, I was surprised. I'm like, man, this is like high quality stuff. They also did the same thing with Infinity Blade. And the reason I really like Infinity Blade is that Infinity Blade was designed for mobile games. So it was extremely focused on high performance, low polygon count assets as they could make and still have high visual quality. What that means for me is that since it was optimized for mobile, it's also optimized for virtual reality, wireless virtual reality headsets like the Oculus Go. Well, I originally did this on Gear VR, and then the Oculus Go, and now the Quest, and now the Oculus Quest 2, which I really like. Now rebranded as Meta Quest 2 and whatever. The Quest 2 headset, I really like it. And the Infinity Blade assets work extremely well with it. All right. So I would like to mention that over the Christmas holidays, I was able to upgrade my own home Wi-Fi to Wi-Fi 6, changed all the passwords, made them super complex and all that good fun stuff. With my Oculus Quest 2, if you guys are into virtual reality, one of the things that drives people nuts is having a wired headset, because it limits you to being connected, a couple feet or several feet from a physical PC. The Quest 2 is capable of using this technology called AirLink, and AirLink works best on a high-end Wi-Fi system. What's great about that is I can use my Quest 2 and I can still access desktop virtual reality games and things that I build. So all of the things that I had to worry about making high performance assets focused on mobile, I don't have to worry about that anymore. As long as it can communicate with my desktop rig, it can have a wireless experience. In fact, I can take my Quest headset upstairs into my workroom, even if my computer's in my basement, and I have this wireless signal that's still transmitting video, and it works great. So I'm really excited about that, because I just hate fiddling with wires all the time. And that's fun to play with.
Have you used, I've got an Oculus also, but I've only ever used the virtual desktop wireless connection because I got it before they, with AirLink. Have you used both of those and compared them at all, or is AirLink good enough to not try the other one?
Well, they're two different things here. One is you can use the VR desktop, and that is fun to play with. So I also know a guy who helped write the software for Big Screen VR, which does a lot of the VR desktop capabilities. I played with it a little bit ago. I haven't done anything recent, like since my upgrade. So I am interested in playing with that. I'm curious though if I'm able to work in VR and treat it like a real desktop. You still have to deal with the mouse and a keyboard. I know they're doing some pass-through tracking with their hands, so people don't have to fiddle with physical keyboard and mouse anymore. Yeah, so I am interested in doing that because I just think that's really cool to be able to have, instead of having to be limited to 2 physical monitors, I can have lots of monitors around and I can still see and I can still read and I can interact with that. So yeah, I'd like to learn a little bit more about that and kick the tires myself.
I don't want to hijack this into a VR meeting, but Immersed, there's an app called Immersed for Oculus, and that does exactly that. You can actually, it will track your keyboard, so it'll ask you to press the Z key at a certain point and the P key, and then it will interpolate where all the other keys are in 3D. So then you can look down and in 3D you see or in your headset you see a keyboard, and you have finger tracking also, and you can see your 3D fingers go down to the 3D keyboard. So if you're not a blind typer like me and you still have to like look and peck at the keyboard, you can still do that.
And you said it's called Immersed for Oculus?
Immersed for, yeah. I believe it was for Oculus specifically. It could have been a Steam VR. No, I think it was Oculus. I used it for a while, and yeah, I was using it to work from home or work virtual, and it worked pretty well, but it still had some issues.
Okay, well, I'll put that down to take a peek at it. Thank you. All right, let's see. Next on the list is going to be looking at VFX tutorials. In chat, it was mentioned about the Mandalorian and how Unreal Engine was used for different visualization aspects of the Mandalorian, and they did do some shooting on a set with LED walls in the background, and they were able to really push the limits on some of these technologies using Unreal Engine. This particular playlist, I don't do VFX for a living, but I've always been fascinated with special effects and being able to see this really cool intersection between a game engine and digital film production and all of the technologies in between to make that happen. Unreal has put together a great set of tutorials. I've taken a peek at some of these, and some of it is like just way over my head. But if you're interested in watching some of these things, even if you're not in the film industry, it's really eye-opening to see just how far people are able to push the engine to do some incredible, fantastic things. And to think that, just a few years ago, this type of technology would have required tens of millions of dollars. It was not within a consumer level budget to fiddle with any of this stuff. And to be able to see that a small crew with a modest amount of equipment, some of it's pretty expensive, mind you, but to think that a very small film studio can do big screen stuff using Unreal is just phenomenal. I think it's really fascinating. So they have a series of 9 videos, and this probably take a few hours. I could get up early Saturday morning and probably knock all these out over coffee. But it's something that's on my list of things to do, just to be able to see what is possible, even if I'm not in the industry. I just want to be able to see what people are using it for, and just having things click in my brain about, oh, I could use that, or oh, I didn't know about that. So neat, cool stuff. If you're interested in visual effects, by all means, take a look at the Unreal Engine channel on YouTube and look for VFX. And again, this link will be in here afterwards. Yeah, I can give you the link now if you like. All right. This next link is something that Epic worked with a couple different film studios and some names you might recognize. Let me get past the ads here.
Son, we're grabbing burgers for dinner if you're interested.
So how many of you are fans of The Matrix? Yeah, I really fell in love with The Matrix when it first came out. And in fact, one of my episodic memories, these are the types of memories where you remember what you were doing, who you were with, where you were at, all of your emotions and feelings like that. The best memory I have of The Matrix is when a group of friends of mine at a .com I was working at the time, we went and we saw The Matrix at Red Rocks. That was like the best. Man, that was like just a beautiful, magical summer night. Things have changed in the last 20 years. Technology has obviously advanced. And this clip, we're only going to watch about a little bit more than 2 minutes of it. And I'm going to start it at the 2-minute 40 mark. But what I wanted to show, and we'll chat about it after it runs, is the fact that everything past 2 minutes and 40 seconds, it is done completely in-game, in engine, meaning all of the humans are based on MetaHumans. All of the visuals are using Unreal 5's chaos system, which is their physics engine. All of the lights is taking advantage with the new Lumen technology. All of the static meshes are optimized with Nanite. The entire citywide view, when you look at the camera view of the city, all of that has been optimized within Unreal Engine 5. So it was far more than just dragging and dropping stuff. They did a lot of things to make it as best as they could. I'll point out a couple little minor things when we're done, but this is going to be kind of loud. There is going to be gunfire. There will be car chase scenes. It's going to be a fairly intense 2 minutes if you haven't already seen this. And again, I'll put the link in the notes afterwards to let you guys watch the whole thing at your leisure. It's about 11 minutes in length, but let me advance this to the 2-minute 40 mark. And again, might need to adjust your volume accordingly. And then I'll let this run for a little bit more than 2 minutes, and then I'll stop it, and then we'll chat about it. So here we go.
And what would reality mean when a world we can build feels as real as our own?
What just happened?
Yeah, this is what they wanted. They said they were fine with your theoretical mumbo jumbo, but they needed some sexy action.
Who said?
The marketing people.
Marketing? I thought we were supposed to have total creative control.
Welcome to the Matrix.
You still got it.
Like riding a bike, they say.
I sometimes miss this version of us.
Me too.
The hell are you doing back there?
Sorry, I was told this is a sim preparing me to fight the system.
Right on. Do you know about this?
Yeah. It's all supposed to be a little unreal.
Word of advice. Agents are bad. But whatever you do, stay the hell away from marketing. See you soon.
So, what now?
Haven't you ever watched a movie before? Shoot the tires.
Say no more.
Keep them off us.
You drive. I'll shoot. Dodge this.
All right, so I think you all get the idea. So a couple of things I wanted to point out with that is you'll notice that the lip syncing wasn't quite 100% accurate. I mean, this is a digital representation of a real person, and reproducing a real person in CGI is always a challenge. But the fact that they were able to get that close inside of a game engine that's available to all of us is incredible to me. The second thing is some of the visual elements, it's really hard to do in a digital version. When the original Matrix in the series was shot, they were using real vehicles and stunt actors, and they created sections of a highway so they can shoot things, and then they could recreate things flipping over. So that was like real world. So a lot of the shadows, it looked real because it was real, and then they added special effects afterwards. This, however, is 100% in-game, and you'll notice some minor things, like some of the shadows might not be exactly right during high-speed movement. When the cars flip over, some of the tires, you can't see the tread patterns. They look more like a smooth asset type of things, but little minor things. But my gosh, for Unreal Engine 5 to do all of that inside of a game engine, I think that's just freaking incredible. Any thoughts or comments on that?
You just ruined the movie for me. Thank you. No, actually, you won't believe it. I muted the audio for 2 minutes and I went minimize Zoom. I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, no worries.
Make
Yeah,
it clever.
You'll have the link and you'll be able to watch it at your leisure.
Yeah, I actually played that demo on PS5 and had my wife try it, and she loved it. So, but I haven't seen the movie either. So
Yeah, I haven't seen the movie either. I've had other things to take care of, but yeah, good stuff. It's come a long way.
Is that mainly because software algorithms have changed, or is it hardware that's improved, a combination?
It's both. I remember when I worked at that .com, we used to have what we called it at the time pizza quakes, where you stayed and you work late, they would order pizza, and then we would eat pizza, and then we would play Quake, first person shooter, and then we would go home. And then we upgraded to Unreal Tournament. And looking at how far Unreal has come in the past 20 years to where it is now, it has been a highly iterative process. And in that time, the graphics cards have dramatically increased in performance. And now they have data centers. NVIDIA has data centers where they have racks and racks and racks of server equipment that's just not CPU only, but they have multiple cards in each server. So when you talk about, thousands of cards being able to do things, that's what that's capable of doing.
Wow.
And yes, better algorithms is always a huge performance improvement, but better algorithms takes time and testing. But when you do have a better algorithm, it can make even modest hardware operate that much better. All right, any other comments? Next up is going to be Unreal Engine powered games coming in 2022. Some of these are going to be focused on using the existing 4.2 engines. Some of these probably are going to be released using Unreal 5. I've seen a couple demos of video games using Unreal Engine 5, and it is, again, over the top in terms of the visuals and some of the physics related to them. Now, again, Unreal Engine 5 is not available for production use, so you're not going to see any titles released that are based on Unreal Engine 5 until they are production general availability. But a lot of these game companies who have been building Unreal Engine for the last couple of years, trust me, they're going to be all over Unreal Engine 5 if they're not already. for many of their titles. So this particular one, this is a scissor, it's called a scissor reel. So this is all just going to be pure video game stuff, and it's about 2 minutes in length. So we'll take a look at this. A lot of neat, cool games. I love the use of shadows and how many things just pop out at the screen. I mean, even if it's looking at it on a 2D screen, you can feel that some of these things are going to be just so highly immersive, and it's just going to be so much better than video games we've played in the past. Do any of those titles jump out at anybody, or anybody looking forward to any of those particular titles?
Yeah, Gungrave for me.
What's that?
Gungrave.
Yeah, that one looks good. I've heard some good things about that one too.
So that's all real-time rendering.
I'm not sure what the hardware requirements are going to be. Some of them may require a decent system to get that level. I know some games will be shipped with ray tracing turned on, and you do need a decent system for that to be able to do dynamic shadows and lighting and things like that, and be able to get the way light bounces in a scene and not just hits a surface but hits multiple surfaces and still look realistic. And you've got like dust particles and a lot of different things happening with that. But yeah, some of the demos I've seen with Lumen is just amazing. You're like, man, they're able to do that in a video game engine. It's like, yeah, they're able to do that in a video game engine.
So if I get the right card, I can see like that kind of quality on my computer.
Yes.
That's incredible. Yeah. It's not a recorded rendered animation movie. It's real-time rendering. Golly. Cool.
Yeah. And this is today, 5 years from now, people are going to be like, oh man, do you remember what it was like to play one of those non-photorealistic games? Oh, geez, that was crazy back then. So I'm really looking forward to what comes out this year, and then the next 5 years. That's something within the palatable horizon that we can all get excited and look forward to. this next video is from Quixel Megascans. This is about a 4-minute video. And this covers trees. Trees are one of the hardest assets to create completely from scratch, because you need to have a reference image. And how realistic do you want this tree to look? I mean, are you trying to reproduce it verbatim, or are you trying to just get an estimation? I've seen some trees as assets in a couple different projects. And yet when you walk up to the tree, it's like the trunk looks like an octagon. You know, it looks like a non-man-made geometric shape, but they're able to, you know, fake it until you make it using different textures that have that provide the illusion of, you know, depth and shadow and roughness and things like that. What Quixel has done is they've used high-end equipment to scan in 3D a lot of trees. Now, what's really cool about it, and you'll see this near the end of the video or in the middle, but you can rig up many different tree properties. You can rig up how much wind do you want to have blowing in the leaves? How strong do you want the wind? How random do you want the wind? What type of the year do you want it to be? Do you want it to be summer or fall or spring or winter or something in between? You can control the lighting that hits the trees. And so provides for a lot of granularity for how you want to be able to see things. And the cool thing with Megascans is this drag and drop. You see something, you download it. Yeah, it does take some time to download it. But then once it's downloaded, you can then just drag and drop it into a scene, and you can rotate it, resize it, you can do whatever. And then you have all of the properties and the details panel that allow you to get granular on different things. So what I'll do is I'll scroll down here and we'll watch this video. Then we'll talk about it for a second.
Trees are as complex as they are beautiful, and we knew that accurately reconstructing them was going to be our biggest challenge yet. So as scan artists, we had to ask ourselves the question, is it even possible?
The goal is capturing the world. Trees are a big part of the world, therefore we need trees. And even if it has all the challenges it has, it needs to be done, therefore we will find a way to do it.
I think there's always been a desire to do it, but maybe not the tools has been ready for it. Biggest obstacle for us creating real-time trees has been how to match it up to the rest of the photogrammetry we're doing. How can we do all the components in photogrammetry and then reassemble them in a parametric way?
So when breaking down a tree, you almost need to start at the end, asking what will I need eventually to rebuild a tree.
You have to look for quite specific aesthetics. There can't be like too much scarring on the bottom, there can't be too much like line work on the middle. You have to find a really pristine one, and that's a real challenge.
Trees have very specific shapes and forms that we are very used to recognize because they have rules in how they look. And those rules we have internalized. We just know that's a spruce, that's not a spruce. We don't always know why, but the thing is we will know if it's not correct. How does it grow? Does it bend with the wind? Does it break off when it gets too tall? How thick does it get over time? You need to have that information, otherwise we have lost some data over the process.
You can get content quite quickly out by photogrammetering a trunk and then sticking a cylinder on top. But we wanted to kind of bring that to 11. We don't want to go that path. We want to go, how do we create a full tree? In like, from view from all angles, all the branches, all the blending, everything should look like a photoreal tree. We wanted to kind of go past that. That's kind of standard way of working with it.
When we started development, it was clear that in order to achieve something that looked natural, it would need to be created with scientific approach in mind. This means the systems would have to rely on botany at its core. We had to create a system that could emulate how plant hormones would build up and how this would affect the tree's growth in order to reach the most light. Different hormones that would signal the trunk to split its branches to withstand stress from gravity and to evenly distribute its weight. Hormones that trigger the branches to shed their leaves so that it can save energy under poor conditions. All of these systems must interface with each other for a tree to grow, and that's what we aim to replicate in order to create a faithful adaptation of nature. And with that, I am very excited to announce that the first wave of these new tree assets is available to download on the Unreal Marketplace. As always, these assets are free for you to use in your Unreal Engine projects. Along with the trees, we've included several new features to our foliage shader. In addition to the standard parameters, we've added a season and health system. This will work with your entire scene by adjusting a few sliders which are driven by the new global foliage actor. In here, you'll find everything related to the season, health, and wind in your scene. On top of these global parameters, you can also go into each material instance to fine-tune the settings on a detailed level. Megascan's trees are currently in early access and part of the Unreal Marketplace. We look forward to your feedback as we continue to improve our process.
Amazing stuff. I've never been able to see that level of detail in trees. And what's funny is that I didn't know about that thing about the hormones on affecting trees. So I learned some botany watching this Unreal Engine video on how they do trees. So, yeah, so like I said, I like building art galleries for different things. I've mainly focused on doing inside structures, but now with the addition of this first forest offered by Megascans, I've already downloaded some of these things and played with them, and it is just it works as advertised. It's just as easy as dragging and dropping it in there. And again, that trick about being able to grab multiple meshes and then create a single mesh of that is a further optimization. You can do that, so you're not dealing with all these polygons per tree, but you can do like a certain section and optimize it as you need to. Any questions or comments about trees?
You said you've used those assets before. Are they really like crushing your system? Are they pretty, like I do a lot of stuff with where I need like thousands of trees, and I imagine that's not a good use of those. That would be more like detailed, I don't know, close-up stuff, or I don't know. Did you have any performance issues when you used those?
I haven't, but I have seen some of the other videos from Quixel, and they do talk about different performance techniques. Like if you're having, like, let's say you have a character walking down a trail, you want the trees on either side of the trail to be as high poly as you want. But if you have like collision meshes where they can't walk off the trail, then the ones outside of that first wave or that first line of trees or section of trees, those can be reduced in polygon count. So even though you look through the trees, you don't have to see the absolute highest resolution ones. You can, let your, imagination fill in the gaps, which it tends to do. And whether you're staring at something or whether you're moving along. So yeah, so there's some tweaks on that. But yeah, you wouldn't want to create like a huge, multi-kilometer map filled with all of these. But the good news is that a lot of these things already have automatic LOD built into them. So that does help. All right, let's see, anything else on trees? All right, so we're coming up near the end here. So I've got a few more links that I'll talk about. Many people get overwhelmed the first time they look at Unreal Engine. They're like, I have no idea where to start. Where do I start? Do I just start downloading the software and putzing around with things? It's good to do that, but trust me, it can be completely overwhelming. The software interface has some things about it that aren't intuitive in the beginning. Like you can drag and drop things onto different sliders and control panels within, and that's not something that's normally intuitive for people coming from, a background and using other software. especially outside of game development. So how do you learn all of these tips and tricks, and how do you figure out where to start? So one thing I wanted to mention is this, what I call breaking into Unreal Engine development. And that is being able to look at, if this is mainly aimed at students, but it can also be for people just wanting to get into it in the beginning. So they do talk about this early career guide, which can go into, what types of things do you want to learn in game dev? Do you want to be a level designer? Do you want to be a programmer? Do you want to be an artist? So trying to figure out all the different roles to do game development, besides just trying to be, indie game developer, just one person trying to do everything, which can be pretty daunting. So this link does go into, showing what people can do in a short amount of time, usually just a few months, with no training, no experience, nothing. Just here's some tools, here's some guidance, jump in and go. The other one, and this is one that I use a lot, is the Unreal Online learning courses. And if you look at the Learn tab, either through the web browser or through the Epic Games launcher, you can get to the same place. This takes you to all of the free courses that Unreal has either had their own people create these courses, or they have contracted out individuals to create the courses that are then vetted by Epic Games. They came out with this list just the end of last year, the 15 best online courses to learn Unreal Engine. So if you don't know where to start, and there's all of these courses, this is the best first stop that I've seen so far. There are 15 courses. It was going to take a lot of time to get through these courses. I think they said it's 220 hours or something like that if you look at all of the courses. I looked at, so I'll cover these in a second. So introducing Unreal Engine, your first hour in Unreal Engine, how to deal with projects and file structures, what in the world is a blueprint and how do I use it? Looking at, okay, here's a blueprint, now here's how to go do some things with it. Shows you how to do things like open doors or close doors behind you. How do you streamline a pipeline if you need to work with other people? What types of optimizations do you need to do? Are you a game designer? You don't have any interest in learning how to program, but you need to figure out some animations and actions. How do you build a world? How do you do landscape? How do you plant foliage? How do you do some simple animation on an existing character if you want to make them do something else? How do you do lighting, or what are the different types of lighting? What is global illumination? And how does that work? Then how do you rig all these things up? And where do you get these assets? What is rendering and why do I need to use it? How do you swap materials using blueprints? Like in this one, you swap out the color of the walls and you swap out the color of the drapes using blueprints. And if you do want to get into programming, where do you start? So 15 courses that goes, everything top to bottom, touches every aspect of the engine. I looked at my own achievement board on the online section and the learning section, and I've completed 10 of the 15. So like I said, 225 hours of content. So I plan on taking those other 5. And I can tell you that some of these courses I've taken, but if you don't immediately use it, you lose it. So some of these things are good to have, but just realize that even if you take the course, you still might have to go back and refresh your knowledge on something, especially if you're not using it immediately right away. But again, this is all free. You don't have to pay for anything, and it's quality content. The caveat I would say is that to get the best comprehension of things, if the authors are using version like 4.25 something, download 4.25 something. Try to use the exact same engine version that the author of the course is using. That provides the least amount of disconnect, and you're not having to thrash around trying to find something. So yeah, highly recommend Unreal Online Learning. So any questions on Unreal Online Learning? Okay. I know it's getting late. I've just got one last link, and then we'll take any questions and we'll wrap this up for January. So I mentioned on the launcher, there are free assets that are sponsored by Epic Games that they pay developers, and then they offer them free for the month. There are also Epic Games only content, like Paragon assets were mentioned, Infinity Blade assets were mentioned. This link is a link to everything in the marketplace that pertains to any of the Unreal Online courses. And again, all of this is free. You can download these things, create projects, do with it what you want. You could create your own commercial products with these things if you wanted to. So anything that you're licensed to do in Unreal, you're more than welcome to download and play with all these things and use them for your own purposes. So a lot of free content, and a lot of these do parallel to the courses. Sometimes the names of these don't exactly match the courses, is something that I've noticed. So just heads up on that. The good news is that when you take the course, there's going to be a link to download the marketplace assets. So you'll always have it. Just realize it. Sometimes the name of the thing in marketplace doesn't always match the exact same name as the course that it's matched to. So I covered a lot of material tonight. I definitely appreciate everyone's time this evening. Any other closing thoughts or comments? No.
Where should I buy an NVIDIA card? Micro Center, Newegg, are those the popular places?
They are. If you can, I'd suggest to shop local, just mainly because if you have a problem with the card, you can take it straight to the retail location. You don't have to ship it out or anything like that. But if finances are really tight, by all means shop Newegg, Amazon. There's a couple other vendors out there. I just like to be able to go to some place local that I know about. And also too, Micro Center does offer some open box specials, and they do provide warranties on several of the open box specials. So if somebody got some card for Christmas and they don't like it, or they realize, hey, this huge card doesn't fit in my computer case, I'm going to return the card. So that's where some of the open box specials come from, is someone realized, oh, this doesn't fit in my computer.
Okay, I would love to profit from that, kid. And what is a card that I might buy? I know that opens up like, okay, how much you want to spend from 6,000 to whatever, but that 3050 seems like a very specialized, unique case. But is it sort of?
Yeah, and that'll be out well, it says it's going to start being available end of January. I have a preference for NVIDIA just because I use a lot of the RTX things. I love fiddling with NVIDIA Omniverse, and some of the data science stuff I use, it requires the use of an NVIDIA card. But if you don't need any of the NVIDIA software and all that kind of jazz, AMD makes fantastic cards too. And believe it or not, Intel, surprise, Intel is getting back into the graphics card market. So I'd say it depends what you want to use it for, and what kind of budget that you have. But just realize to get a decent card, you're going to be spending anywhere from a few to several $100s.
Okay, I guess I'm okay to spend up to 1,000. Given that range, is there a model that you can think of?
Any of the medium to higher end range of AMDs, but a lot of the RTX cards, the 3080 is within that range, and so is the 3070, RTX 3070 and 3080.
Have you or has anyone here know anyone? I don't know. Has anyone had any luck with actually buying cards this year or last year? I've been like on the lookout for cards that are not, jacked up 3 to 4 times sale price from miners and whatever. I was curious to see if you guys had any luck with actually buying a card like as of in the last year or so.
Yeah, I got my 3090 at Micro Center in April of last year. And like I said earlier, I have seen cards in the cases every time I've gone to Micro Center, so they do have them in stock.
Really? Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, and so far I've had luck with the Newegg shuffle. There's so many people that sign up for it every morning that let's see, I've gotten one card every 6 months over the last 18 months.
Dang, I did the Newegg shuffle for like a month or more, like every day, and I never got anything.
Yeah, I'm not sure. See, I kind of think that there's some kind of a modifier that gets applied, because each time I would get selected, it would be right after I made a big purchase. Like, I buy 2 monitors, and 3 days later I get selected. I bought like a CPU, and then another like 2 days later I got selected again. So I'm not really sure how they do that. But yeah, I've had luck there. And I'm already good on video cards. Most of my LAN party group is good there too. If we had like a mailing list, I could offer in the unlikely chance I got it again. I don't know. But yeah, you really just gotta like get on it every day.
I guess I'll have to try that again, because definitely maybe it was last summer. It's been a while, I guess. Whenever I did that, I couldn't get through at Newegg, and the few shops I've gone to. I haven't tried MicroStation here in Colorado though, so maybe I'll give that a try.
Micro Center.
Or Micro Center, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I got a 3060 Ti back in July, and then I actually just bought my son a 3060, not the Ti, but I got him one 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
Both through the shuffle.
Dang. Okay.
All right, we're at the top of the hour. Anybody else have any closing thoughts or comments? I think we had a good session tonight, and again, 1,000 apologies for the interruption earlier this evening.
Thank you so much. Super informative.
Claude, you've been a very nice meeting. I want to say thank you for inviting me. I will see you in February.
Awesome. Okay, with that, I'll go ahead and stop recording and wish everyone a happy and safe 2022, and we'll see you next time. Thanks everyone for coming. Take care.
Thanks, Todd.
You bet.
Yeah,
See you all.
thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.